So love becomes not a thought process. Holiness is not a thought process. It is a process in which we live our everyday lives. It's not compartmentalized that we can say to ourselves, I'm holy on Sunday morning, and the rest of the week I don't need to be holy. God laid out what holiness would look like so that we would know by the revelations of God how to be holy people. Holiness is something that we strive towards. It's a commitment. It's an intentional act motivated and underpinned by love. Love for God and love for neighbor. Holiness takes on the form of these kind of actions: thoughtfulness, kindness, justice, mercy, generosity, and such things that we would not think are acts of holiness, are acts of being holy in our everyday world. As we reach out and as we express the very essence of God, being just, the essence of God of being righteous, the essence of God of being merciful and kind, and God as love. As we act between each other and between others, we are practicing holiness. But what is holiness in a community? Hear the probations that God gave to Moses as he told them to call the whole assembly, the whole congregation. Be holy. Being holy means not to steal, not to lie, not to deceive one another, not to swear falsely by God's name, violating the name of God, for God is holy. Not to exploit friends or rob them. Do not hold back the wages for the hired. Do not curse the deaf or put stumbling blocks in front of the blind. Fear the Lord. I am God. Over and over again, God reminds community of what it is like to be holy. Holy kindness changes our world. Hear this story. It's a story that might be familiar with us, and we might be getting ready to prepare for it once again. In his book called Pleasures Forever, Philip Keller wrote this. For 2 weeks, it snowed off and on almost every day. Does that sound familiar to any of us? It was beginning to I was beginning to weary of shoveling snow, cleaning giant corners of the snow off the roof, knocking the snow off of the wood carried in for the heat, cleaning snow from doorways and driveways. It seemed it was no end to snow, snow, snow. I even wondered where room could be found to pile up the wind-driven drifts. And then it happened. Suddenly, one day, I came home, turned into the driveway, and there it was. The sidewalks were clean. The doorways had been shoveled clean. Stunned, I paused momentarily in the driveway. I simply couldn't believe it. It was too good to be true. The bare pavement appeared almost unreal. The huge piles of snow heaped up on every side astonished me. Did someone with more strength than I care enough to come over and do this job out of sheer goodness and a warm heart? Yes, someone did. And he did it with gusto. I later learned that it was a young man from town 10 miles away. With enormous energy and strong muscles, he had moved mountains of snow on my behalf. With this one gracious act of generosity, he had saved my aching old muscles, but he had broken the back of winter as well. It was a warm and wonderful way to feel the experience. I was profoundly grateful. What a lift our Father gave me through that young man's strong arms. Then another evening, the doorbell rang. I went to see who was there. The cold wind tugged at the eases and swirled around the door. I opened it carefully to keep out the formidable frost. Standing there, all wrapped up in wool cap mittens and a winter coat, stood my neighbor. He was bright-eyed and with rosy cheeks. Just brought you a wee treat, he said, as he shoved the basket towards me of food. I don't want to come in, it's too much winter. And he was gone in a flash. Softly, I unwrapped the unexpected gift. It steamed hot and pungent, a fresh, home-baked meat pie, drawn from the oven only moments before. Besides, it was piping hot, and a bowl of rich gravy. What a feast! What a banquet to nourish one's battling midwinter ice and sleet. Every mouthful was delicious. I relished the meal. Every particle of the pie was consumed with contentment. Every drop of gravy was licked up with gracious delight. It was a meal that I would remember forever. I curled up like a little cat and slept for 9 hours solid. I had peace and rest and a deep joy, besides quickening faith in the gentle goodness of generous neighbors. In this weary old world, there are still some stirring souls who really do love their neighbors as themselves. Holy love changes our world and makes it a better world. Holy love brings our world hope. Listen to this story of a fisherman who writes about hope. Is it better to fish hopefully than to catch fish? Fishing is a hope experience. To be optimistic in a slow bent is to thrive on hope alone. When asked, how can you fish all day without a hit? The true fisherman replies, hold it, I think I felt something. If the line goes slack, he says, he'll be back. When it comes to human spirit, hope is out. Without hope, there is no yearning, no desire for a better tomorrow, and no belief that the next cast will bring the big strike. According to the Bible, the Christian life, the life of living holiness, the life of reaching out, the life of sharing, the life of being kind, the life of loving, brings hope, brings life, and brings a new beginning. It is hope for our world in the midst of change when we live by holy love.